Hello and welcome to my channel. Today in this video, I'm going to show how you can install and configure AWS CLI into a Linux or a Debian based operating system. So let's see, what is AWS CLI? AWS CLI is a command line utility which allow user to interact and manage various AWS resources and services using command line. It provides a convenient way to manage and automate AWS resources. AWS CLI is available for various operating systems, including Linux, Windows, and macOS. In this video, I'm using Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9, and for Windows and macOS, I will come up with a separate video. So now, let's see some key features and capabilities of AWS CLI. So the first one is Command Line Interface. As the name suggests, the AWS CLI is a command line tool using which user can interact with AWS services and resources by typing a command into a terminal or any command prompt. The second one is cross-service support. AWS CLI provides commands to manage for a wide range of AWS services, using which you can access EC2, S3, VPC, IAM, Lambda, and many more. The third one is really important, which is scripting and automation. You can create a custom script to automate your day-to-day task, or if you have any repetitive tasks, you can automate it using AWS CLI. The fourth one is authentication and authorization. Using AWS CLI, user can configure authentication and authorization with the help of secret key and access key, or user can also have an option to use IAM role for the same. The fifth one is output format. AWS CLI allow you to specify the format in which you want to receive output, including JSON, text, or a table format. This flexibility is useful for integrating AWS CLI command into a script or workflow. The sixth one is AWS profile. AWS CLI support the use of multiple profile, using which it allows you to switch between different AWS account or IAM role easily. So now see how you can install AWS CLI into the Linux based operating system. So you have to download the package from this given link using the curl command. So once the package is downloaded, you can use unzip to unzip this package, and once it's unzipped, you can use /aws/install script to install AWS CLI into your operating system. So now you have downloaded and installed AWS CLI into your operating system. Now it's time to configure it. So there are multiple ways using which you can configure AWS CLI to authenticate with AWS resources. The first one is using secret key and access key with the help of AWS configure command. So once you will run AWS configure command into a terminal, it will ask you to give a access key, secret key, region name, and you have to give a output format. So this is the one way you can configure it. The another way you can use the environment variable, and the third way you can use the IAM role to configure AWS CLI into your operating system. So now it's time to do a practical hands-on demo. So let's move into a terminal and log in into the instance and configure it. So now I am into my AWS console. I have already launched one EC2 instance with the Red Hat Linux Enterprise 9. So let me collect its public IP in order to log in it. I have not configured SSM. So let me log in using the putty. So let me open putty. Let me provide the IP, and I have a key which I have put it into my download folder. Let me select the key pin. Okay, now it is asking you to provide a username. Let me provide the username, which is ec2-user. So now I have logged in. So let me switch to root. Let's check the operating system version using cat etc os release command. So you can see here it is a Red Hat Enterprise Linux or version of 9.2. So now let me copy the link using which I can download the package into my system. So I will use my presentation. So let me copy this command. Let me paste here and hit enter. So now you can see it is downloaded AWS CLI V2.zip. So let me unzip it. Okay, so now you can see unzip command is not found. So let me install the unzip command. I will use yum install -y unzip. So now my unzip command is in my system now. So let me unzip it. Okay, so it is unzipping. Let me clear the screen. So now you can see there is AWS folder is there. So now let me go into this AWS folder, and here you can find the install script. Let me execute this install script in order to install AWS CLI into my system. Okay, now my AWS CLI is installed. So now you can run this command to check its version. Or you can also use AWS --version command also to check the installed AWS CLI version. So now we have checked our AWS CLI is installed successfully. Now let me go to AWS console and create a one user. I will create a one user with the name of test user. I'll click next. I will attach policy directly. I will give a admin permission. I'm giving a wider range of permission as this is just a demo. You can give it as per your requirement. Let me click a create user. So now my user is created. But in order to configure AWS CLI, you have required a secret key and access key. So you can go to that user and there is a tab security credential. Click there and you have to generate a key. Click create access key. Now it is asking for which purpose you are creating the key. I am selecting command line interface. Let me confirm it. Go next. Keep some value. Let me give a test key and create that key. So now my key is created. Here is my access key and here is my secret key. Let me click it to show. So now it is showing here. You have to create your own key. This key will not going to work for you because I am going to remove it as soon as I will complete this video. And you will also having an option to download these keys in a CSV file. If you want, you can click download.csv. It can download it. Okay. So let me copy the access key. Let me go to my terminal. Let me clear my screen. Run the command AWS configure. Hit enter. It is asking you to give a access key. Paste that key. Hit enter. Now it is asking you to provide a secret access key. Now you can go ahead and copy this key from here and paste here. Hit enter. Now it is asking to give a default region. So my default region is US East 1. So US East 1 code is US-East-1. So let me give it. Let's write here US-East-1. And the fourth one is it is asking you to provide a format. I am just typing it a JSON. Hit enter. So now my AWS CLI is configured successfully. In order to validate, you can run the command AWS sts get caller identity. Hit enter. Now you can see we have created a test user and the test user key has been configured here. So you can access now any AWS resources. Let's run a few commands here in order to test. Let's check how many S3 buckets are into my account. AWS S3 LS. So I am having only one bucket in my account with the name of Nadeem Labs. Let's see how many instances I have. So run the command AWS EC2 describe hyphen instances. So now it is giving me output of my instance. So let's see here my instance ID here it is giving ending with IC20. Let's go and validate whether this is a same or not. So let's see here 1C20. Okay, it's 1C20. Yeah. So this output now you are getting into a JSON format. If you want, you can customize it to get into the table format as well. Let me customize it. So run the command AWS configure again. Hit enter. I'm using the same access key. I'm using the same secret key. I'm using the same region. The only thing which I'm changing from JSON to table. Let me let's check the output in a table format. Hit enter. Now if you run this command, let's see how the output will come. It will provide you a output into a table format. So it look nicer than the JSON. Look, all the information is there: image ID, instance ID, launch time, the key name which it is used. Everything is there, all the details. So this is how you can configure AWS CLI using the secret key and access key. Okay, so now you have seen how we can configure AWS CLI using AWS configure command using the secret key and access key. Now we are going to do the same thing but using the environment variable. So we are having a two option. Either we can run this command with the secret key and access key into a terminal, or else we can put these into a bash profile or bash RC file in order to make it permanent. So let's see how we can do that. So before that, let me show you something. So now I am able to access my S3 bucket because I am already having a key with my .aws/credential file. So let's see this cat.aws.credential. So what I can do to show you, let me move this file into a temp, any other directory. So I'm moving it to into temp. So now if I will run the same command AWS S3 ls, it won't work. You can see it's saying unable to locate the credential you have configured, right? So let's see how we can achieve using our environment variable. So for that, let me first, okay, I'm having my key here, the same key. I will use same key. So let me copy this command, export AWS access key ID, copy, paste here, copy the secret key from here and hit enter. The second one, copy this AWS secret access key command, paste here and copy the secret access key from here and hit enter. Now one thing is left, which is region. We have to export our region as well. So let's copy this, hit paste here, and our region is US-East-1. Hit enter. Okay. Now you can run the AWS S3 ls command. Let's see whether it is working fine or not. Okay. Now you can see it is again started working. Why? Because we have exported all the keys here. But let me show you one thing. If I will use the another terminal, it won't work. Let me create a duplicate session, login as EC2 user, and let me switch to root. Let's run AWS S3 ls. Again, it is saying that it is unable to locate the credential. But if I will run same command here, it will work. So now to make it permanent, so what we have to do, we have to paste these keys and commands into a bash rc file. So let's do that. Let me copy this. Okay, open the dot bash rc. You can also do same thing using bash profile as well. I'm entering into bash rc. Let me go to the last line, shift G, then press O because I am using vim editor. Let me paste this. Okay, so shell is also copied here. Let me remove this. This is not required. Now I have imported this. Let me save this file. Keep :wq exclamation, hit enter. Now it's saved. So if I will run again the same command, it won't work. I need to source the bash rc file again. So now it is not working. Let me run a source command into bash rc to reload. Okay, now I'm done. Now we'll run the same command. You can see it is working again. Either you can run the source command, or if you will open a new terminal, it will automatically get reloaded that bash rc and it will start working. This is how you can configure AWS CLI using the environment variable. So now you have seen how we can configure AWS CLI using the environment variable. Let's see how we can achieve same thing using the IAM role. Let me first remove the key which I have pasted here into the bash rc file. Let me delete using the dd command. Let me save it. I have saved it, and let me just open a new terminal. EC2 user, switch to root. Okay, now if you can see, I will run AWS S3 ls. It won't work again. So let's see how we can do using the IAM role. Let's create a role. Let's jump into AWS console. Go to IAM. Go to roles and create role. So this is for AWS account. This role I am creating for AWS account and for this account only. So I have to select this one and click next. And what level of permission I want to give. Let me give it again the admin permission. Click next. Give a role name. I have given AWS CLI role. My role name is AWS CLI role. In a description, I'm just writing the test role. So let's create this role. So now my role is created with the admin permission. If I will go to my user, so what I can do, the test user, right? I have to configure my test user in such a way that it can assume the new role which I have created, AWS CLI role. So let me remove the admin permission because it is going to assume that role. Let me remove the administrator permission from this user because it is going to assume that role which is already have the same permission. Let me remove it. And let's add a permission to assume that role. So create inline policy. So which service you can use to assume the role, which is STS. Click STS and we want to assume that role, right? Click into write, check the assume role. And here you have to give the role ARN. Just click here, add ARN, and type the role name here. So what is my role name? AWS-CLI-role. So AWS-CLI-role. If you will type here, it will be written here automatically. So, and this particular resource is present into this account. Add ARN. If you want to see in a JSON format, you can just click a JSON. You can see this is how the policy which is created. It is going to assume a role, and the role name is this one. Click next and give a policy name, anything you want. I'm giving assume role policy. Create policy. Okay. So now my policy is created, and this user now have an access to assume the role. Let's get back into the terminal. Let's configure it. Let's do the remaining step in order to assume IAM role. So first let's get the key. So key you can get the CSV file you have downloaded, or I have kept into my temp folder into the credential file. So I'm using the same key. So let's configure it. Run the command AWS configure. This time we will go using the profile option, hyphen profile, and I want to give my profile name as test user. You can give any name. Hit enter. Provide the access key. Provide the secret access key. Provide the region name. My region name is US East 1, and provide the output format, which I am giving JSON. So now I've done. So let's check that cat.aws credential. Yes, my test user profile is configured successfully, as well as let's check my config file as well. Okay, so in my config file also my profile is created. So we have to modify a little bit our config file in order to assume the role. Edit this file, come to the last line and press O, and give here the role ARN like this, the role ARN and the source profile. Source profile. So let's copy this. So role ARN, make sure you can provide the right ARN of the role. So let me copy it and paste it here. Let me copy, make sure you can copy. Okay, now I have copied the role ARN and pasted here, and my source profile is a test user only. So let's save this file, hit enter. Now, if I can run AWS S3 LS, it won't work. We have to use profile. So if you use the profile which we have created, what is the profile name? Profile name is a test user. So look, now it is working. You can also describe the instance as well. EC2 describe instances with the profile test user. So now you are getting it. So this is how you can configure AWS CLI using these three ways. So if you like this video and this video is help you at any sense, please do like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.